and Stephanie. No Debbie and no Karen. Karen's ill. So first things first, who wants to take notes?
I'll take notes.
Thank you, Dan.
Sure.
Randy, thank you for last time. I goofed up a little bit on the bottom of the minutes when I rehashed them. And I put that Debbie had submitted those, but it was just because I used the
It's all
template
right.
from the old minutes and just,
You just
cut
don't
and
want to give
paste.
me any credit.
no, guess what?
I don't mind.
Hold on.
I don't
Look.
mind.
He just wanted you to take them again.
Well, you did such a good job. Oh, look, on the new set, I put Randy Group. So I did correct it. I just wanted to make a note that the draft minutes have been corrected to reflect that. So so that gets us quick right down to already. Lindsay, any or lots of updates?
I kept it pretty condensed for everybody. I do have to step out at 6:50, but I'll.
Oh, I
be
hope
back.
that we're stepping out.
I'm
with you.
hoping to. That's why I wanted to keep this
So.
kind of short and sweet. So I just did a couple slide presentation for today. I wanted to go over just our 2024 Camp Glacier Lake numbers. Overall, each week had roughly 134 kids. It was amazing. Was it overwhelming at times when other groups came? No, the park's big enough where it was very manageable. On the days that I knew we were having larger groups, in addition to this, I actually made a point to go down there and work from the park, twist my arm. And it was not overly insane. Very well ran. We worked through some obstacles that, inevitably, we're going to come across things like how do we manage each group and make sure everyone's having a great time. But the Y has been excellent to work with. We have a great relationship with our staff and them, including lifeguards. But I know a question last year was how many of our residents actually utilize the park, the program, and it's about 40%. So unique
I'm sorry,
campers.
40% of the campers were town residents?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which I thought was awesome. I think last year was less than that, and this year it was more. So unique campers, that is essentially like, okay, Elsa goes to camp all summer. She counts as one for all her sessions. When you see the session totals, that would be per one kid per week. So like Elsa 1 week,
Yeah.
times 10, she would count as 10. Does that
Okay,
make
yeah,
sense? Sorry, that's hard to
Yeah.
explain that. So that's where you get that 484 versus that 123. So pretty awesome. You can see all the fun. These kids are having fun right by the water. They had an inflatable Gaga pit, which I thought was really cool. Kids love that. But the paddleboarding, the kayaking, the canoeing, walking up the gully, experiencing the waterfall. I send my kids to this camp and they have nothing but good things to say about it, and so do their friends. So I actually had the privilege of meeting the Rochester YMCA CEO at one of the last camp days. He came to just see the park in person, and they had great things to say about our park and just the town staff and everything. They're very happy with the program. We're very happy with the program. I'm excited for next year. I think the goal next year is to have 150 campers a week. I do think that they can reach that number. I'm just excited that 150 kids get to experience Amanda Park. And as far as our cabin renters go, I actually received 0 negative feedback about camp. The clerk's office did a really good job communicating that there is a summer camp that runs down there. So I think that communication helped prepare people for what that is. And quite a few people actually sent their kids to camp while they rented down there. So I thought that was kind of cool.
The only question I had was, somebody asked me, why is it called Camp Glacier Lake if it's at Canandaigua Lake?
Yeah, so they actually put it to a vote for a bunch of the camp kids to decide what camp it was going to be called, like right before they opened it up, and that was what was chosen. Yeah, it's its own thing,
Yeah.
I guess. Camp Glacier Lake at Onondaga Park. Does anyone have questions or comments or anything? I want to thank the committee for the support on this.
Yeah.
It's been awesome. It's something I also want to point out too. It's something that the town would not be. We could do it ourselves, but it would cost us a significant amount of money in personnel costs to run a program like this. So we are saving a lot of money. This only costs us $20,000 per camp year for them to run a program that would cost us, I would say, upwards of over 100,000 to run. with the equipment, the liability insurance and staff. I did want to quickly go over some of our projects. So our tennis court fence replacement at Oneida Park is done. If you guys haven't been down there, it actually is, it's gorgeous. It looks nice. Like you actually want to play tennis down there or pickleball.
Dan Lindsay could send me or send us this,
Okay,
and then we, if you,
then copy and paste.
just
that'd be
maybe a
awesome.
quick note of what the slide is, but
Yep.
don't worry about the
Yep.
details.
Oh, yeah.
Good,
I
thanks.
Don't write every single thing
Yeah.
down.
Where has that been when I took notes? I didn't write that option.
Apparently somebody already told you that, because I've seen the notes. And we did have a PowerPoint.
We are wrapping up our roof replacements this week. So there were 4 of them this year, which was quite a bit. Some of the larger facilities, so that'll be done. Our playground, Uplands Playground got removed along with the 3 old cabins. There's 1 more cabin that has to be removed as well. So that'll set us up for, our Oneida Uplands plans. The Pierce Park baseball field backstop fence has been replaced. And so much got done at Motion Junction over the past couple months. So finished the sidewalks, the landscaping, paving, concession stands complete, the pavilion, security system installation, sod was placed, entryway, and then we had our grand opening. So we have not had any vandalism since we changed our faucets, have the doors that automatically lock at night. So we did have to invest a little bit more in some of the upgrades, but completely worth it.
And the security is up and running. I
Oh,
mean, like
yes.
there's cameras and,
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, we've seen some activity around midnight with kids just under the pavilion,
Yeah.
but they're not doing anything
Yeah.
harmful. They're just hanging out. So, we do have the police that know to just drive through and
Cruise,
stuff
yeah.
like that, but they're not doing anything like vandalizing our stuff yet. As far as things that are still in progress, so the baseball field improvements, my team is gonna be working on that just to get set up for spring. They'll be working on getting I don't know what you call it, like the dirt, the sand, dirt.
Mhm.
Plates. All taken care of. The shade tree installment is still in progress at Motion Junction. So for them to keep their certification, they needed shade trees installed. So what we currently have are not shade trees, so we just have to do a swap. But it looks like Inclusion in Motion is covering the cost of all that, so it's just a matter of getting that scheduled and done. And then the Oneida Park cabin placement, I know we discussed moving this cabin temporarily to a spot in the uplands. We're gonna hold off on that. We are not ready. We are still waiting for the infrastructure plans to come back from our engineers for the uplands before we can do that. So that's kind of on pause right now, unfortunately.
Is the town gonna do anything on the road work this fall or not?
Realistically, no.
Okay,
If we can, we will, but with Halloween at Oneida happening and
that was
then
my
the weather being,
thought, yeah.
we're just uncertain. So we're not gonna commit to anything this fall.
We're okay still with the money that was budgeted for that
Yep.
carrying over?
Yes.
Okay.
Next, you guys have a copy of our preliminary, or it's now tentative budget. So these are the requests that I had put in. You'll see original total budget, current total budget. You won't see period activity because this is for next year. I just would like to call out that we did put in a recreation director position. And as of right now, it's still in there. It has not been dollared out. So in October 28th town board meeting, they are going to approve the 2025 town budget. Fingers crossed that this continues and does not get cut from the budget. I know Mark and I have been talking, and this group has been talking for a very long time about having a dedicated person for Parks and Rec.
And that is mentioned in the 2021 update of the comprehensive plan.
Yep.
And that was in my statement that I sent to the town board last night,
I'm gonna-
or Monday night, was based on the comprehensive
Comprehensive plan.
report, that this has been an ongoing
Yeah.
request from Parks and Rec.
And what's wonderful is our new town manager has read through the comprehensive plan and also has pushed for this position to stay in. So I'm very excited about that. So if this does get approved, what this will look like, I'll actually just jump to a slide really quick. They're gonna manage the Parks and Rec department. So next year will be a transition year. I will help them transition into role. Obviously, like operationally, we're running fine. This person just has to keep growing the position. It'll be full-time year-round, all the full-time, part-time, permanent parks labor staff and the parks maintenance assistant will directly report to that person. The summer seasonal staff and lifeguards will also report to the Parks and Rec director. They're going to continue the summer rec partnership with the YMCA. The goal is to increase the recreational activities and the senior rec program. Because right now, the senior rec program is a very passive program. They just meet on Thursdays, have cards. They can do so much more with that. So this person would lead that. They would lead the Onondaga Park facility operations and then have the ability to explore grant opportunities for outdoor parks and rec to help save our taxpayers money.
And trails.
And trails,
Huge,
yes,
yeah.
yeah, and trails.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very excited.
Can I, a
Yeah,
couple questions?
of course.
It says here in the budget, recreation director, that's
Mm.
kind of, to me, a misnomer when it's really parks and recreation. So I'm assuming that that's just an abbreviation of what the actual title is
Correct.
gonna be. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, internally, it'll be called the Parks and Rec
Okay.
Director.
What was, is it Dennis
Mhm.
For
Brewer? What was his title when he was
Recreation
here?
Specialist.
Specialist. And then never backfilled him
Mhm.
after he left?
No, Troy, I believe, kind of took on that role.
Okay, and he did this, the oversaw the parks and the rec, or just recreation?
No.
Nothing.
he
Since
basically
Dennis left, there
was,
hasn't been anything.
yeah, there was basically thought. I think a lot of what happened was different bits and pieces kind of got thrown on everybody else's desk.
From Dennis's roles and
Yes.
responsibilities.
Yeah.
Okay,
After he left.
And
so it's really, this is a backfill of Dennis.
Essentially, yeah.
is
probably.
Yeah.
Eventually, right, okay.
yeah. And again, at one point, the town had a list of some of the activities, but a lot of these things, really Dennis didn't do a lot of looking for grants and,
Yeah.
I
I see.
mean, Dennis was mowing lawns and weeding flower beds and
Mm.
setting up the nature nut.
He was
pit.
hiring lifeguards and such too.
Yeah,
at the time.
yeah, he would do all the hiring and all that.
Mhm.
But as far as a lot of these other things, he didn't. I mean, he did a lot of different things, but I
Yeah.
think there's more they're hoping that could be done
Gotcha.
with the person, but to
Yeah.
kind of say it is backfilling his position is a good
Yeah,
It's a good way to look at it.
description.
So this list looks really long. I know, I apologize. But the ones that you guys really want to look at as far as codes go is 7110-200, which are the bigger projects. And then 7110-400, which is our, like our contractual lines. So it's on that second page, 7110-200. It says parks, normal capital maintenance. So you can see in here the things that I had requested, like an additional gator for Onondaga, roof replacements based on our, just basically our capital project replacement form that we have. Blue Heron sign replacement, boathouse roof replacement, new hand dryers, new boilers for Gorham and Crouch, new floor for Gorham Lodge, Onondaga paved trails, another Onondaga upland cabin, which we had decided to cut. We're not ready for a second one to sit out front, so we're just not gonna do that next year. Exterior painting maintenance, for quite a few of our facilities. Pierce Park has a bathroom foundation issue. I don't know if anyone has been over there, but you can see it crumbling. It almost looks like an animal, like.
Holes all over those blocks.
So if you notice on this list, there's a lot of things that are needs, not wants, like the boilers, getting the foundation repaired. I still put in that paved walking path for Pierce Park. I do think that's something that's really important for us to install. We did propose the pickleball court for Pierce, but instead we are going to put that at Outhouse. Outhouse East, so where the pirate ship is.
So you taking up some green space to put in a pickleball court?
So right
Uh-huh.
between the bocce ball courts and the
Yeah,
basketball
okay,
net.
okay.
Yeah.
gotcha. So no pickleball at Pierce Park.
Not this year, not this year. Next year's definitely a possibility.
Is the ones that are set as $1, those are rejects then?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
So what was different this year is I was given the opportunity with my team to go through our requests and we were able to prioritize what we cut, which is different than previous years. So again, I went with needs versus wants for what we kept in and things that I think we could hold off a year or two. Just to get the most for I had to cut around $275,000 from my budget, so. But I just wanted to bring it to your attention. So under that budget note section, the things that did get rejected, it just says, Blue Heron sign, look to include in the Uptown project. A new gator, we cut it from 20K to 5K because there's an opportunity at the county to purchase theirs. On a paved path, just lowering the cost. The Uplands cabin, just waiting until we're ready for that. And then contractual, that is just typically our standard yearly items. So our wildlife services, backboard replacements, fire alarm inspections, but I just thought it'd be good for you guys just to have that transparency with the budget. In case you have any thoughts on it or strong feelings.
I think the other important thing that we can't lose sight of is it's not considered Parks and Rec budget, but the money that was set aside to do the uplands came out of, and I don't know what the right name of the fund.
ARPA.
ARPA funds. So that, I mean, kind of technically is money spent on parks, to do work at the uplands.
Yes, I'm sorry. Thank
Yeah.
you for bringing that up. So that's why I scaled back on a lot of the larger projects in this budget, because the main focus next year will be the Onondaga Uplands. Sorry, I wanted.
I want to say, I don't know the exact dollar amount, but is it pushing $1 million?
Just under, I believe it was 800,000.
Yeah.
I also wanted to point out too, so the Auburn Trail I know has been a topic. I've gotten actually quite a few calls in the past couple months just regarding where we're at with that. People, are just wondering. So earlier in the year, Sarah and myself, along with Jim, we kind of discussed like, how can we get some movement on these projects? Or just like, lingering out there. So we did suggest to put in money to hire a company to obtain easements. It is not something that we have someone in-house who can dedicate the time to call these residents and start actively pursuing.
Sometimes knock on doors and, yeah.
Twist arms.
So that'll start to get us somewhere with that connecting piece, for the Auburn Trail. So that's in there.
And there is continued work on Janeco's, the waterway where the pipeline is going through there. Is
I would
that,
have to check with Jim on that,
Okay.
on a status. I'm not sure.
so that's kind of that piece behind the farm market and Ace Hardware. So which I guess the plan had been to make that water line a walking trail. I know there's some other issues with that whole development, but I think it's moving forward. So, but part of that plan will be to have
Yeah, I haven't heard different, but I just
Yeah.
can't confirm.
Yeah. hopefully a trail from, what do they call that road when it goes around the corner? It changes from Brickyard to Purdy Road, maybe?
Yeah.
From Purdy Road up to Canandaigua Farmington Town Line Road. So
That'd be awesome.
there's a pretty good chance that a section of trail to connect. So,
And then the last thing I wanted to just point out is our budget for our Parks and Recs event. So I put in 4,000 for this year. So movie night, roughly around 1,500. Music in the parks, if we wanted to do 4 of them, I put in $2,500 just as a buffer. If that is what the committee chose to do. If we wanted to do 4 music in the park events. Anyone have questions so far?
So Lindsay,
Yeah.
if they do hire this director, that would be that person sitting over there now and handling all this?
Yes.
Okay, and you would be out of it?
Yeah.
No, I see.
Still supporting, I would still be in a supporting capacity, but they would be reporting to the town manager.
I see.
So it really removes me from that
Having
position.
to do that
Yeah.
stuff, yeah. What's the $20,000 YMCA camp fees per agreement? Do we
Yeah.
have to pay that?
Yep, so we are in a 3-year agreement with the YMCA, and each year we pay them $20,000 to run the program,
To run, okay,
the summer camp.
but they still collect all the fees from the campers too?
Yep, that's
Oh.
correct.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, so this is out of the 3 years, year 1 is already done, so there's 2 more years after that. And obviously that's where the committee or the new
Yeah.
Parks and Rec director can reevaluate where we're at and if we want to continue.
So I saw an article where our town budget's going up like 25% over year. You had to cut 275,000. Was that before? Or after the announcement of the new budget? So are they cutting it now, or you
So
already
it-
cut and they got?
It
the-
was already cut
Oh,
and it
wow.
got presented on Monday, like the preliminary budget came
Yeah.
out, so
You had already cut down to that number that's still
I
20%
contributed.
higher.
I
than last
contributed to
year.
my cuts. We're good.
Okay.
However, we have not, as a town, we have not increased our tax rate by very much, and it has not matched the inflation of products, for example, like highway. I mean, the cost of a lot of the highway materials has gone up significantly, and instead of increasing tax rate, we've just foregone projects that need to happen. So we're prioritizing highway next year.
Wasn't there a huge increase in water for this coming year in the budget, the cost of,
I
I thought that was where one of the biggest.
I'm not super sure on that.
Okay.
I'm not able to, I
Don't want to.
don't want to give you the wrong answer.
No, that's just what I heard was that there was a lot of costs with water and there was one other item. I can't remember what the other one
I
was.
mean, highway did increase, personnel costs increased, I know, by 18% because we're adding positions. But our town is growing. And in order for us to provide that service to our residents, you know, we've had to add a couple positions, including our fixed director. So. But anyway, we can move on from that. All right, I already went over the Parks and Rec director position. I think that's all I have for that. I did want to just go over a couple things, just to update the committee on. So our bathhouse for the Uplands this is the sketch. I apologize, it's so small. I should really learn how to print it on one of those like big papers. So this is what they have drawn up. I really liked the design. However, I wanted the committee's input on if we should keep it with the 6 unisex restrooms or cut 2 of them off, because obviously that would significantly decrease the cost of our restrooms. Because the idea is our cabins, all in the Uplands, are gonna have bathrooms.
Yeah, it seems like a lot.
It seems quite excessive. I would
Yeah.
say if we had the same situation where there's no bathrooms in any of the cabins, then
Right.
maybe that would be sufficient, but I do feel like this might be slightly excessive.
Will there be any cabins up there that have, that don't have?
There's
bathrooms?
there'll be 2
Yeah.
that are still up there that will have no restrooms. And we chose to go with and I believe we all discussed as a group,
Yeah.
the unisex restrooms, just to make everyone feel comfortable and all that stuff.
And they added the stainless
Yeah.
steel outdoor wash
Yeah.
tank, which
Mhm.
is a
It's
great idea.
awesome. Yeah, I was really happy. The feedback that we provided them, they really delivered. The only thing that I really just wanted to bring to your attention is I do feel that 6 restrooms is a little bit excessive, and
Yeah.
obviously it adds a ton of cost, so.
7 total.
Cut the last 2 off,
Yeah.
Yeah,
have the overhang over your
Same.
kitchen sink, your bath sink there.
Mhm.
so if that's what we would like to do, I'm happy to.
I would support that. for
Okay.
sure.
No doubt.
Wants to
Awesome.
have
Yeah.
it clean.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great too. Let's to clean.
Yeah.
All right, very cool. Motion Junction, so the pavilion, we had discussed about renting that out on the concession side and underneath the pavilion. We have not been able to execute that yet because we've been waiting for a certificate of occupancy to be issued by our code enforcement office. But due to some vendors not completing all their work, we have not been able to issue it, and we have had to do some stuff in-house. But I'm happy to say we have completed that, and we are getting our C of O issued tomorrow. So then we can go live with our rentals. Like this past weekend, we had multiple people having birthday parties there and nothing was officially rented, which is fine. It would just be nice to have some kind of process, you know, so people aren't like fighting over picnic tables and.
One of the things, so my nephew works summer camp, summer school, but anyway, so he was there one time, he was there one day this summer, and like the Greece school system showed up with like 350 kids.
Oh,
Yeah. Which
that's all.
I'm-
People.
it is. But my only thought was, okay, if Greece does it, and then what if Henrietta comes down the
Right.
same day? And all of a sudden we've got,
Then that would be a problem.
yeah,
That's a problem.
how do we, I mean, are we looking at trying to say, like, putting something where they have to say, you need to at least let us know. you're
Yeah, like
coming?
groups over a certain amount, please just let us
like,
know,
just-
so.
You're not reserving it,
Mhm,
but you're saying, hey, we're planning on coming.
Yeah,
You know, something on our website, something where they can say, okay, we're bringing our parks we're bringing our summer recreation program down. We got 250 people.
I would like to know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I mean, what's nice about that Firefly program, which is our reservation system, it's very easy for us to
Mhm.
add stuff like that now.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great idea, like just, it's a no cost thing, but it says like, okay, a large group is attending. Because it would take away the experience from any of the groups
Anyway,
coming, so,
Yeah,
I do like that. We can definitely get that up and running.
yeah, he said, he goes, they were there early and they were gone by noon, he goes, but
What if another group showed up?
he goes, they took over the place.
Oh, I bet, yeah,
So,
love to see it.
Is there any sort of, how many people can go at once code for there or,
So, I mean, underneath the pavilion, yes, there is like an occupancy limit.
yeah,
As far as on the playground, I imagine there probably is.
Yeah.
But it's not an enclosed space.
well, it seems like 350 would be,
he said. he said
everything
there
would
was
be-
like 8 to 10 buses in program.
That's wild.
And he was there with 24 kids from Canada,
Ah,
so they were a little overwhelmed.
That's overwhelming. Yeah, no, we'll try to figure out some process for before spring comes.
Yeah.
Because groups do tend to reach out sooner, and we haven't been able to say,
Right.
hey, yes, we do have a
Yeah.
process or procedure, so
Yeah.
I think that's a good call out. So yeah, so we'll get that started, super excited. On the bathhouse, Halloween at Ononda, do we want to invite a food truck?
so. I don't,
Invite the food truck.
I don't want to invite a food truck. I'm worried about, you know what, if Oksana wants to invite a food truck,
No, invite the food truck.
I don't know if I would want to step on Oksana's toes.
Please invite the food truck.
Um,
Just give me the numbers, I'll invite the.
I don't
food
know, we
truck.
hadn't done it before because we were worried about parking. And if people were just coming just for the food truck and for parking, that was our.
That's a long way to go for a food truck.
Yeah,
If you're there, you can get something to eat, that's one, I think people aren't gonna. I mean. You're not driving from Canandaigua down there just to get, I don't think, to get some food.
Well, isn't it earlier in the afternoon anyways? What's the time? We're
2 to
there-
5, no, 2 to 5?
So, I mean,
I think it's
early
2 to
in the
5.
Pre-dinner slot.
Yeah, it's kind of mid-afternoon. It have to be like snack food.
Right,
I don't think
People
that it's
coming for
our
dinner.
event to add a food truck to.
Okay.
So,
I'm gonna add a food truck.
it's not Mark's fault.
Yeah.
He was in trouble.
I'll be
He
like,
was
Mark
walking
said, told me to
behind
do
us.
this. So we're gonna do a booth like we normally do,
Yep.
right?
do we bag the bags and just,
No. Just,
yeah, do we bag them? I mean, do we?
oh, I
get
don't
rid
want to
of-
bag the bags
do we-
anymore.
Do we bag the idea of having bags
Yeah,
and just drop 2 or 3 pieces of candy into a basket out of a big bowl?
I think so.
Okay.
Were the bags because of COVID or were the bags because
It
you wanted
looks
more
nice.
candy?
Because
It
we
looks
don't-
Looks nice.
Oh,
And because we'd
okay.
always done it that way.
And we've always done it.
And we
Oh.
started doing it
So it's
when,
gotta be good.
and we started doing it when it was 150 bags.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and now it's blowing up.
So we did, and the numbers I saw were quite a bit higher than this, but we handed out just over 400 bags last year. So I thought there probably were 800 people, but the estimate was a little higher than that.
If you're nice and you say please and thank you, you get a couple more pieces of
Yeah.
candy.
I think that's best.
I'm fine with that. I mean, we spent a whole meeting stuffing bags.
So I'm happy to purchase the candy again, like just the way we've done it and then. Ooh, load it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like it.
I mean, I'll plan on bringing my tent, my pop-up tent, as long as it didn't get ruined at the Bills game.
About that.
Last night, 2 nights ago.
Did you have the Monday night game?
So I didn't, but somebody borrowed my tent to go.
Oh. Is his name Randy?
Is it with you?
We'll discuss that after the meeting.
I'll bring my new tent. I'll bring the decorations. I mean, just biggest thing is if, you guys can get down there and chip in a little bit here and there and so.
what's the date again, Mark?
October 26th.
You said 31st.
Yeah.
October 26th.
And it's Saturday, right?
So Saturday, the 26th. But we have somewhere stored still some decorations
Yep, in
and,
the tote,
yeah.
yeah. It's
And-
there.
You know what? I usually make a trip to the dollar store and add 2 or 3 spider webs in a, something that makes a funny noise, and we have decorations.
The kids
So-
love it, it's great. I will not be able to attend our next parks meeting, but I can have another staff member attend.
Or, I mean, if we communicate, maybe we can, don't even need, I mean, I hate for poor Andy to come and, but,
Be able to run Zoom.
so, s- my question with that,
Oh, I saw your notes.
do we not have, so when this room got canceled,
I don't know what happened.
yeah,
I really don't know what happened with that, because those two things are not tied together.
okay.
But going forward, our meetings will be held in the courtroom.
Now, looking at that, there's some scheduling program shows youth court on Wednesday nights
It's not
at
every Wednesday
5:30.
night.
That was like every 4th Wednesday, same, or every 3rd, whatever our,
When I looked for our next meetings, there's
Oh, didn't-
nothing on our
okay, didn't show
calendar.
anything up, okay.
No, no. And if so, we can relocate to the Joseph Wood Room. I mean, there's
Okay.
other places that we can.
okay. What's the timeline for,
So town hall's going through a remodel,
Okay.
so the development office is actually moving down here.
Gotcha. Okay.
For the next, so this room will be, we won't be able to use it for a year.
Okay.
Kind of stinks,
Yeah.
but. There's also the option too, like there's a highway conference room as
Right,
well, that's
yeah.
hardly used, so we do have options.
Yeah. okay. I just didn't want to all of a sudden show up and,
Yeah.
so,
Oh, gosh, yeah,
but-
no, I'll make sure that we're 100%
Okay.
set, and if we have to, pivot, I'll communicate that.
okay. I wanted to just do a quick debrief on our summer program.
Yeah.
So with the different events and
Yeah.
everything, just to follow up. What's everyone else? I thought things went well. The only thing that screws us is the weather.
Yeah.
So, I thought the 3 concerts were good. It was definitely a different variety of
Is that-
bands. So,
Well, we know who attracts the most people.
yeah,
It's clear.
yeah,
Rock and roll.
with a little bit of country.
Oh, a little bit of country in it. Yeah,
So-
you're gonna bring people in.
And I think that band had a good following of people that came to see them.
Kicking boots.
Kicking
Kicking
boots.
boots. Rocking boots.
Rocking
Rockin'
boots.
Yeah. Lindsay, where would you think to add a concert? I mean, I don't know if going any earlier. It's almost getting so, there's so much competition
I
now
know, 'cause there's so much
with,
going on in
with
the
other
area.
places that are doing music concerts.
We don't have to add one, I mean, it just would allow us to maybe pay for a band who is a little bit more expensive. Or it just gives us cushion to do if we just wanna do another event of some sort. We don't have to,
And that's not really, we don't need to make that decision
no,
right now, but
it just gives us the opportunity if we wanted to.
the food trucks, I reached out to the 3 that came down to our standalone Wednesday nights. From the, we maybe come back to, we won't come back. Actually, one of the food trucks sent me their numbers. They served like 27 people. And they said, we can't, it doesn't pay for us to, to show up to do 27 dinners.
What about doing a food truck, like an official food truck rodeo,
That would be another thing to
Like
talk
an
about
like
is,
an event, yeah, I mean, it's like one, it's a
Because
cheap event and
they
then.
did well at the music nights. I mean, there was a line, there was a
Yeah.
wait, one total truck got sold out. of
well,
food.
that was, all 3 of them said, we will come back on the
Yeah.
movie or
Events.
the concert nights.
Do we need more? There
So-
were long lines.
Yeah,
Well,
a third, all 3 at
2
one
out of the
music-
3 said that 2 was the right number. If you add a food truck, it's gonna cut our numbers down. And we won't serve as many. Let me see. I can't, my home computer won't do any. Let's see. Oh, I guess it was a text message. From Cooks.
Christ, they only serve 27 people because it takes 27 minutes.
Wow. Yeah, they did 95 dinners one night when the band was there. They actually gave me their numbers. I mean, so if you have two that do, so let's say you do 200 dinners and, you know, that's 100 per truck, then if you cut that by another food truck and I don't know. I did ask that question, is two the right number or should we add a truck? Were you too busy? And they, two of the three replied that and said that they wouldn't want to add another food truck.
Unless it's Rockin' Boots.
So, you know what? Actually, the numbers of dinners at Rocking Boots was less than,
Oh, yeah.
I think people showed up,
What's
I think people showed up there for the music.
What about a beer
Like,
truck?
they showed up, right, well, that's a whole different animal.
It is.
That's
a big
That's a
animal.
board, that's a board.
that was shot down by,
In the
yes,
ordinance,
by
wasn't it?
the town board. Or
Try
some
again next
members
year.
of the town board.
We ask every year, eventually
Yeah.
someone's gonna say yes.
And then we'll have to wear security shirts. You won't have to pull St. Mary's Beer Tent security
The
out.
days of doing that
Hey.
is long over.
Oh, we got a new generation.
Rockin' Boots was about the same as the rescheduled Yaki concert,
Wow.
which I thought was a lighter attendance. They served about the same number of dinners. It was
Huh.
the movie night that they dropped down to 68 for the movie night. They did 108 and 112.
Was Iffy that night?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
it was
drizzling
really-
on and
Yeah,
off.
it drizzled on and off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And rain during the movie.
So I don't know. I guess we have to evaluate the idea of a standalone.
Mhm.
Maybe we replace it with a Saturday afternoon, evening food truck rodeo
If you're gonna-
or,
If you're gonna do a Saturday afternoon food truck rodeo, I would suggest at the same time then adding a band to that.
Yeah,
yeah.
And you know,
Yeah, to
people
draw
might
more
not just be
people.
standing there watching the band, but you've got all the playgrounds, there's
Mhm.
food trucks, there's music playing.
Well, that does bring up the next thing I wrote on my list is volunteers at the events.
I don't think we need bounce houses anymore, that's my.
So, well, that's because you had to sit there the whole time by
I
yourself.
agree with you.
I also just don't think,
I think it's a draw.
You do?
I don't. Maybe it is.
So,
It's a.
I think we should have face painting, kids love that.
Kids do.
well,
it.
but then it goes back to volunteers of who's gonna be.
Yeah.
I got stressed out planning on being in town, you know, I drove home from the Adirondacks to go to the movie night, you know, just to be there, and so, I mean, maybe that's gonna be a different role for the new,
Yes.
a new rec person if it's approved.
Well, and that's
to-
the idea,
Right.
right, is really for then the committee to just
Mhm.
volunteer if you can, not have to.
But I
be
mean, that's just
responsible.
something we have to keep in mind as we add these things. The football team did a good job parking, they weren't,
They were.
Bounce
useless.
house
They were
supervisors.
useless at the bounce.
they were useless.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right, just so I-
It's a good thing that we had Poppy Group who
Mhm.
does lunch duty at an elementary
and he's
school,
grumpy, and he's grumpy anyway.
so, but,
Give them a whistle.
Don't need one, I got a lot.
so yeah, so that's just something we have to keep in mind is how are we gonna? I mean, there's only, and it's summer for all of us too, being away, you know? And we just have to figure out a plan to cover that. Maybe it's two people take a concert and they're in charge of that, you know, and
You know, I
Sign up
was,
for a concert.
I was also thinking too, because I saw in the previous notes about maybe having meetings every other month next year. I do think for the months that we have events, that should be considered like, not, I'm not saying it has to be
Yeah.
replacing a meeting, but like you said, we're all busy in summer.
Yeah.
Like that is peak time. It was very challenging, obviously, for me to attend some of the meetings too, just with other, you know, kids' activities and life.
well, I definitely think, and we talked at our meeting at our July meeting about every other month and then fill in the blanks
Yeah.
with,
Because
in
then I
this
also
day and
think
age
of-
with email.
Well, then I also think
So-
about like the time that you guys are spending as well, like volunteering at these events and then having to come for a meeting. You know,
Yeah.
I'm trying to be respectful also just of everyone's time.
Mhm. I do think though, if we are gonna consider a food truck rodeo, I do think adding a band to that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And again, they said the standalone food truck nights weren't good. What made it good was the music, so maybe we have a bigger type of,
Mhm.
you know, we throw, maybe that fourth band is
Somewhere.
on a Saturday and we,
Mhm.
so. And we advertise it as a food truck rodeo.
And there could,
So-
that could be something where, yeah, there's some face painting going on, or some of these, Rotary or somebody wants to come up and set up a little something.
See, that's where I would now envision that new Parks and Rec director has the time to.
To reach out.
To reach out to the Rotary, and that's our contact.
Yep.
To do those types of things,
The Air Force with the flight simulator thing.
so,
Oh,
I know that's a whole different
so
thing, but that attract,
cool.
I mean, not a lot of people showed, but that's one of those things that they have in a trailer. They got a couple guys off duty that can come and just let kids
That would be awesome.
play.
so again, something for us to keep in mind, I mean, I would assume that if that position's approved, it's for January, they would be hiring. So,
Well, we're kind of, we're at that point of the season anyway, where when we combine November, December meeting to anyway,
yeah,
and here we are, it's September.
Yeah.
So we could easily get two more in between now and the end of the year. And then January starts, and, I mean, planning wise, you probably might need, like, maybe January, February, and March need to meet a little more consistently, but then when April and May hit. Maybe not.
or even every other, I mean, we could probably
Still,
make it that, January, March, May, July,
And agree to email each other, anything.
Yeah, anything pressing or
office.
Right.
updates or something.
right,
I will be emailing the committee about something after today. I just need more information, but I did find a contact with Ontario ARC. She's the coordinator for all the volunteering that they do, like the adults do, and they're interested in doing something very basic out of our concession stand from 9 to 1. Super simple. They can just serve coffee, nothing crazy, not like making things.
Well, they have a coffee shop. They used to run, and it was on 332, I think.
Now it's on Main
Downtown,
Street,
yeah.
yeah. Was it
Multiple shops.
what's it called?
Yeah.
Like Star Cafe?
Yeah.
North Star.
North Star.
Yeah.
So they are interested. It suits what their people can do
Mhm.
volunteer wise,
Yep.
and they think it's a great opportunity just at that location.
Sure.
So,
Yep.
I'll get more information. I might invite this person to our next meeting, maybe chat a little bit about
Who
it,
is it?
but
If you don't mind me asking, who is it?
her name is Taylor DeLeo.
Oh, yeah. We all know Taylor.
Oh, you do?
We all know Taylor, yes.
you know her dad,
Do
Mhm.
I?
you know Tony DeLeo, takes all the pictures all over, sees his
Oh,
pictures
is
all
that-
over.
Is that how I know him?
Yeah.
Mhm.
She had mentioned his name, and I'm like, why is this?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so she's one of the coordinators for ARC of Ontario.
Yeah.
And what could we do to, I mean, do you think the Ag Committee wants to continue to do something at our summer events? It really was scaled back. I was expecting something different. Last year they were, it was more educational. This year it was more,
I do
Sales.
know that Samantha is now chair, I believe.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was Bob
yeah,
Carlo.
yeah,
So maybe that was why.
Yeah.
I think she was just taking over and. I don't know.
okay,
I would imagine they wouldn't want to do it on their own. I don't know
yeah.
what kind of draw that would.
But I mean, I think it's a nice additional thing that if the food trucks are gonna be there and if,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, to have them-
but I guess I had envisioned and we had talked before about maybe a
Tractor.
combine that the kids could, someone from the Ag Committee could, let them sit in the tractor and beep the horn for a minute and,
Yeah,
or even a smaller tractor or,
I do feel like the communication with that group kind of fell. Or maybe was not as existent as it was previously, so maybe if that's the case, then I think we should invite them to our first.
Yeah.
Meeting.
so. But I thought we ought to just keep it on the board that if they're gonna do it, do we wanna encourage them to expand it? Do we wanna,
I think,
so.
I mean, personally, I saw kids going to the flowers and. it was-
The first time of the year they came inside the Civic Center, I mean, it was, obviously, they were giving away syrup and honey.
Right,
Very, it was very popular.
sugar's good.
well, she-
Okay, so, but again, let's not lose those thoughts for next year. Senior program, any hit,
No, it's been fine.
Karen's,
Sounds good, okay.
It's been fine.
um. They're meeting Thursdays.
Still meeting
There
Thursdays,
is-
9 to 11.
It is in the budget again for next year for senior programming.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
probably add a trip. We did the Nutcracker last year, the one at Fort Hill. I'll probably do the same again this year.
Yeah.
And then also that Monsignor Schnacky play that they love to go to, we'll just get busing for that.
Yep,
And then hopefully next year we can have more.
yep. And again, that would be the purpose of adding a rec director to have the time to add those things. The only other thing that I put on there, and I was gonna reach out and I forgot to reach out. I have not heard anything from McKenna in about 6 months. I've emailed her several times, no reply. I think maybe I have her mom's email. Maybe I'll just ask
Okay.
if I should be using a different email or something. She's off to college. So she did graduate. So, I wonder if we need to kind of evaluate that position because it doesn't make sense. They age out at 19, but they've gone off to college already. It's almost like once they go off to college, it's gonna be hard for them to,
Maintain, yeah, their
to, yeah.
membership with us.
So I don't know if we just look at the way it's written in code and decide if we want to adjust that or if there's another way to do it that the good kids get busy.
Mhm.
You know, the kids that want to be active and involved have, McKenna was cheering and she was on lacrosse and, you know, they get busy and it's tough to do. So that was all I had. I don't know if there was any others on there.
I just have a quick question
Yeah.
for you primarily. I live out by McJanet Park and there's this McJanet Hill project going on where they're working on the tunnel system.
Okay.
And it's titled McJanet Hill. So I was wondering, like, does that have anything to do with the park at all, or is this completely separate?
That is completely separate.
Okay,
Yeah,
alright,
yeah, it's
good.
not something with the town.
Okay, I just thought the name was interesting.
That is
there.
interesting. I wonder if it's
Alright.
their family.
I don't know. The guy who donated the park was not named McJanet, so was the
So
barn.
no,
I don't know.
I
Alright,
can find out for you.
no, I just wondered, because we had questions about, you know, the eventual trail system, and is this
Yeah.
part of that, and it's obviously
It's
totally
not,
separate.
yeah, not to my knowledge, and I'm usually looped in on those things,
Well,
usually.
And James, just before we go, do you think there would ever be a more of a connection with your summer camp with the watershed connecting more to the town rec program or not? Is there maybe some way that, or are they is it pretty much a separate group other than just using Onondaga?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
just the landscape there is so prime for
Yeah.
that camp. On the lake. I don't know, good question. We had a wait list, so,
Okay.
and the YMCA camp's kind of a different thing. We all work together really well. If we needed more kids, I think there could be a connection, but it's.
I just didn't know if maybe with the new, you know, with a dedicated person, maybe there could be a,
Well, it'd be nice just for like communication, because obviously you got the watershed communicating with the sheriff's doc, we're trying to get kids out on the water to do this, and there's paddle boards and there's lifeguards on duty, so yeah, the coordinator, I think, would really help make those connections easier. We know who to contact. I'm not the one contacting anybody, so but who knows what will come down the road.
and you gotta go.
Yeah.
So if you hit
Meeting adjourned.
Meeting adjourned, boom.
Boom.